What's up, everybody? This is Spearheaded with Tevin. I'm your host, Tevin. Welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. If you like what you're hearing so far, if you enjoyed episode 1, please hit follow, like, subscribe, whatever is closest to you. Go ahead and hit that button. We've got so much to talk about today. I'm so excited to get into it. If you haven't heard the news, Britney Spears is engaged to Sam Asghari. I personally thought this was going to happen months ago. But it's happening now, and I'm so excited. I was actually in Warby Parker getting new frames when I heard the news. My phone buzzed as I was trying on new glasses, and it said, "Did you see the Britney announcement?" And I was like, "No, like what's going on?" And I logged into Instagram, and there was that photo with her in the ring finger, and I was like, "Oh shit, my girl did it." So we are so happy for Britney and Sam. Britney and Sam, congratulations. We wish you guys a lifetime of happiness, and we're so happy that you found each other. Normally, we do an iconic moment, but the iconic moment is that Britney's engaged. Nothing's topping that. So let's really get into this engagement. Let's talk about the timeline of their relationship and the overall question amongst the Britney fan base, which is Sam a good fit for Britney? What's going on with that? Let's get into it. So if you're looking at Britney and Sam's relationship and you're not really sure where to start on that, they've been together for 5 years. It's coming up on 5 years, I think, in October. They met originally on the set of Britney's Slumber Party music video, which was the second single from her album Glory, which was released in 2016. Sadly, that album only got 2 singles. I was pulling for No Seas Cortez. Any of those stands up in here? Britney and Sam met on that music video set. Tinashe was there too. What an affair. That probably must have been such a lit video shoot. You know, in between their scenes, they were talking and Sam was charming her and acting like he didn't know who she was and asked her name. And you're in the presence of Britney Spears. Everybody knows who she is, right?
The first move, was it you? Was it him? How'd that all go down?
I think we were at, we were shooting and we were doing the scene where I was doing the walk scene, walk through the hall to go through the door to go to the bedroom. And we were sitting there and we were waiting together for 20 minutes at a time. Just we're having literally to be stuck there together. So we're basically forced to talk to each other. And he has no idea, really who, he knows my name, but he doesn't really know me as a person, He's like, what is this girl like, and I have no idea who the hell he is, And we were just talking, and we started talking about sushi, and we started about things we liked, and we should go to sushi one day. Yeah, let's just do this, and let's do this. So he's like, okay, I'll give you my number after the thing. So it wasn't even a serious thing. It was one of those things that we were just kind of having a conversation to get through the experience, And I kept his number, and it was so weird because it was 5 months later I found his number in my bag. And I was like, he was really cute. This guy was really cute, So then I called him, and then ever since then he's just a really funny person.
So a couple weeks go by. Britney finds his number in her bag. And she was like, oh, yeah, he was really cute. And the next thing we know, they're hanging out and they're together and they're an item and the rest is history. A lot of things have been coming out about them being together. And I just really want to get into this whole idea that Sam is a bad person. For some reason, that has been such a topic in the fan base. And before we get into that, I just want to say that this is a pro Sam podcast. We love Sam. I think Sam is a good guy. I think he's a great guy. I think he's perfect for Britney. He's protective of her, as we all are. But more than that, it's her longest relationship. And I think we should give him a fair chance, right? We're really going to get into that. We're going to deep dive into this a little bit. But, I've been hearing and I've been seeing a lot of comments about the prenup, right? And if you didn't know, Britney had a prenup with K-Fed back in the day, and their relationship was only 3 years total. They were only married for 2 years, and I think we all kind of knew that relationship was it had definitely a time period on that one, a timestamp. We all knew that was going to expire, but they had a prenup. So Britney's smart. She understands and she's aware of those types of things. But there was an article that was put out today from People magazine saying that Jamie is involved in appointing a divorce lawyer for, Britney's upcoming marriage. And TMZ later released an article debunking that and saying that Jamie's nowhere near that, and that he is not involved with selecting a marriage lawyer for Britney and Sam. But aside from that, let's really talk about like the discourse that's going on, especially amongst the fan base, because I think it's important to understand why that would be necessary if he was involved. So let's get this straight. Jody Montgomery is the conservator of Britney's person. Jamie Spears is still the conservator of Britney's estate, which is dealing with money and assets and like everything in between. That falls under his jurisdiction if Britney were to get married, right? So it would make sense for Jamie to be in the picture when he's selecting a marriage lawyer to deal with a prenup. I know, like, we all don't want that to happen. He's not a good guy. I think we've all established that. We all understand it. But coming from the legal standpoint, if he were to be involved, like, that would be in his realm, like under his umbrella of things that he would have to deal with. On Twitter today, I was scrolling through just randomly, and I saw a lot of fans saying, like, he has so many lawyers and she has so many lawyers, and why isn't Rosengart dealing with this? Or, what's the point of, Jamie still calling the shots if they've petitioned to terminate the conservatorship? The fact of the matter is that everything is still in place. Nothing has happened. There's been no official decisions. There's been no rulings. There's been no movement in terms of the status of the conservatorship. So you're taking something that already is in place and you're using it as is. So on this day, Jamie is still the conservator of Britney's estate, meaning that if she were to get a prenup and they were to divide assets and really go into what she's got, all the things that she's bringing into this marriage, all of the future things that she could bring into the marriage, and they do the same with Sam, what Sam has, what he's bringing into the marriage, everything that he could do in the marriage. That's still going to fall under, for Britney's portion of it, it's going to fall under Jamie. And, whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, which I don't think it's fair. I'm not a big fan of Jamie Spears by any means, but it's important to understand that, like, that is how this works. And he has a right, technically, legally, to be involved in this, even if he is one of the biggest assholes on the planet. And we truly believe that on this podcast. We wish that he would just go away. But hopefully the TMZ article is correct, that he's actually really not in the weeds with this one, and that he's just kind of letting Britney and her lawyer do all the work. So moving on, let's talk about something that's very tumultuous in this fan base, because I really want to get into this. Sam, right? It's very evenly split. I just want to say once again, I am pro Sam. I think Sam's a good guy. I think, because of their longstanding relationship, if Britney thought there was something wrong, or if something was wrong, let's say that Sam was in it for the wrong reasons, or his intentions were nefarious, whatever it is, don't you think she would be able to make that decision on her own and say, okay, so this isn't the person for me. I'm not going to marry this person, or I'm not going to date this person. Like, that's what she would do, because she's Britney Spears. Like, she's a smart person. She's a very smart woman. And so personally, this is where I take offense to people who are saying, free Britney, free Britney, free Britney. She is a grown woman who deserves to make her own decision. She is an artist who can tour and make albums, and she's allowed to put all these people in business and house all these people while she's on tour. And in the very same breath, they're saying, but she doesn't know who Sam is, and Sam's not a good guy, and he could be taking advantage of her and stealing her money, and he's in it for the publicity, and she doesn't know it. I think that that's completely ludicrous. Like, you can't say one thing and then say the complete antithesis of the other. Like, you can't 180 in the same sentence. It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense that this is a woman who is almost 40 years old, who we all think is like a genius and smart and can handle her own shit. For people to say, yeah, she should be free to make her own decisions, and then turn around and say, actually, no. Like, I think that she doesn't have it right on this one. She should probably take a step back. I think it's crazy, and I think it's stupid, and I don't get it. Like, sorry, I just don't get it.
Sorry, I just don't get it.
So, going on with this, one of the things that I think I see the most on Twitter is this idea that Sam is in this relationship for a career, for his career. And this is just my opinion. This is someone who lives in Los Angeles, has worked in this industry, who sees things and knows things, and knows the hot spots and what people will do to get on camera, what people will do to be in the public eye. For the type of success I think that people are building it out to be, it doesn't make sense for someone to be with Britney right now at this point in her life, because like everything is so controlled. Also speaking, people are saying that Sam is out for Britney's money. But here's the thing. Britney Spears only is allowed $2,000 a week. That is what the conservatorship has given her, right? Homegirl does not have the money to give to Sam. She doesn't have thousands of dollars to just give him. He's not making money from her. And if you follow Sam on Instagram, and I know a lot of you do, and if you follow his story, you're seeing that he's on set every day. He's doing things. He's like actually working. He's actually out and about. So it's not like he's preying on her. That's another thing that I don't get is like people are going from 0 to 100 on these Sam stories, and there's like nothing there to back it up. There's like never anything there to back it up. And if there is, it's something that doesn't make the most sense. Another thing that I've been seeing a lot on the internet right now is this idea that Sam is like calling paparazzi and they're getting him out and about grocery shopping. And my response to that is, yeah, it's probably true. If you're a young actor, influencer, whatever, like you're going to want to keep your name out there. You're going to want to keep your name in the press. And as long as he's not doing it at her expense, and I don't know if he's doing it at all, like it's just my guess, like it wouldn't be the first time someone has called the paparazzi on themselves. Do you know what I mean? But if he's doing it just to promote himself and he's not doing it at times where she is with him in the car or all out and about and stuff, like there's really no harm in it. Like if he's going for a jog around the block and he's like, yeah, just get a couple shots of me running and I'll answer some questions. Like that is just maintenance for your career. Everyone at some point in the career has had to do that. Britney has had to do that at some point. Like, using the paparazzi to your advantage. It's not like there are 20 people on him. It's not like he's putting her in harm's way. Like, just let the guy get to where he wants to get in his career and just keep it moving. Like, he's not hurting anybody. He's really not hurting anybody. And if it comes out in a couple months or years that Sam is not the guy that we think he is, I will completely own up to it. I will eat my words. I will admit when I'm wrong. I think at the same time, we have to be really careful about the things that we're saying about the people in Britney's life. So I know that there's this momentum that the Free Britney movement is getting right now. But I think that, yes, questioning people in her life is good. But if it's someone who has been in her life and she is in love with, and she has said time and time again how much she loves him, I think we should trust her. Like, that is the entire point of this, is that she's going to make mistakes. She's going to sometimes not have the, clearest brain on when it comes to trusting people, but we all do. And at the end of the day, it's her life. And if this is someone that she wants to marry and someone that she wants to spend the rest of her life with, or even just right now, like if she wants to spend the next couple of years with him, like she should. That's completely her choice. That's her prerogative. And who are we to tell her no? You know what I mean? I think that there's this idea that because we're so protective of her and that we feel like we know her and we feel like we know what's going on, we don't. There's a lot that we don't know. There's tons that, I think that we think we know, but we have no idea. And we truly don't see behind closed doors how he treats her. I mean, for him to call her his lioness, you know, and have that engraved on the ring and that be the nickname that he's given to her, both privately and publicly, like, and he's really leaning into that. I think that's such a beautiful thing in their relationship. And I think that he views her as a strong woman. Like, he is very adamant about what a strong woman she is. He embraces that about her. Whereas, like, you've seen interviews from members of her family where they have not said that about her.
Every single female in this house has an opinion, Drew. Truly. I mean, I think we're all somewhat on the same, we all agree. But
how many females you got in that house, man? The way you tell that scope, I'm expecting
it's
to see
really it's annoying how many females I have in this house.
And they've said, hey, this is this family is full of strong women, and I don't know where they get it from. And they've given these like misogynistic answers, right? But he embraces that and he loves that about her. And I think that alone is like such a great transformative part of her relationship that I don't know if she's really had before, from a fan perspective. But we should just trust that she knows what she's doing. I think the big idea is that we have to let her be happy. We have to let go of this idea that and I don't even want to say me, I'm going to take myself out of that. People have to let go of this idea that like they know what's best for her, because at the end of the day, they don't. And I personally feel like there is a new wave of fans and stans and people who maybe weren't there for the 1998 days, maybe weren't there for the 2007 breakdown, but came in after that, or came in, in much, much later years, who don't have a really good idea of who Britney was before this conservatorship, and don't remember exactly what that time was like when everything was happening. They just have videos and, perceptions on the internet to go off of. But Britney's a strong, independent, like level-headed person who at times makes mistakes because she's a human being. But more than that, she knows what's going on. Like she is aware. So if she's going to be with the man and say, this is the man that I want to settle down and have babies with, I'm going to be like, okay, girl, like you do you. Like, I'm glad he makes you happy. And you keep it moving, because that's your job as a fan, This isn't something like, where with K-Fed, we all knew that it had an expiration date. We're like, there's no way this is long-term. They're not going to be like 60 years old, like talking about the Onyx Hotel tour. But, we all kind of knew that was going to like settle down and not necessarily be, the most successful relationship. But this one, I think it's the real deal. I like really want to give them a shot, because I truly believe that Sam takes care of Britney, and I think that's what she needs. And especially going into this new wave of her life where she's finding herself again and finding this freedom that she's been working so hard for. Like, yeah, I think that she's going to need him, to help guide her and be there for her. So I'm going to wish them all the best. I think that's all we can do. So another part of the Britney-Sam relationship that I have seen so much on Twitter is when Britney was institutionalized in 2019. And the images that are just so jarring to see, where she is in that like red dress and she's coming out of, I don't know if it was the facility or a hotel, but she's coming out. She looks awful. She looks like she hasn't slept in days. She looks like she has been heavily medicated. And now we know that it was lithium that they put her on. And Sam is there with her, holding her hand and just trying to get her out of there. So I think that one of the biggest things that I think Twitter is getting really wrong, and this is where I primarily read Britney news, there's that image of her coming out of there and he's with her. And a lot of fans are saying, well, what did he know? And what, why is he letting this happen to her? And why isn't he going on Instagram and yelling about how she's being wronged? And this is where I'm going to challenge you to think for a second. Like, if you are dating a high profile person and you pick and choose what you want out in the media. But there's a whole other section of their lives that we don't know because they're not telling us that. And that's called privacy. So there's a lot of stuff about this conservatorship that we still don't know, hasn't been put out. And, over time, maybe it will come out, but we don't know. But if they're using things against Britney for leverage, or they're saying, hey, if you do this, you can see your boyfriend. If you do this, you can see your kids. Or if you don't do this, you're not going to be able to see Sam or hang out with the boys this weekend or do anything. Do you think that Sam is going to rebel against the team and go out and tell everyone her business? Like, if he sees something wrong or if something's happening and they're like using that to punish her, do you think that he's going to jeopardize his access to her by going out or going rogue on Instagram and saying, this is what's going on? No, he's going to play the game. He's going to protect her in probably the best way that he knows how. And he's going to cross his T's, dot his I's, and be in the good graces of the conservatorship and make sure that she's okay. And so when Britney was institutionalized and Sam put out that statement that it was like, this is a form of strength, that was him playing that game. It was probably incredibly hard for him, probably unbelievably difficult to get through that. To see someone that you love going through that and knowing that it's their own father that's putting them through that, it's not an easy thing. He has a heart. He's a human, for crying out loud. But he was playing the game in order to protect her. He probably was just making sure that she was like, okay. Because imagine being a sane person and then being put on lithium. Like, it's going to mess anybody up. So for him, he was doing exactly what was asked, and he was protecting his person. And I think that is probably more courageous and harder to do than just going rogue and blowing it all up. Because had he done that, they would have made her break up with him. They would have revoked her access to him. And then she would have been all alone. And if Britney's all alone and she's going through that and she has no one, think of how much more detrimental that's going to be to her and her mental health and what she's going through. It's already super hard, but it's going to be that much harder. So I think that Sam was just doing the things that he was supposed to do to get by, which is what any person in a tough, abusive situation does, is they do what they have to do to get by. They have to survive. They have to literally go minute by minute. And I'm sure that's what was happening during that time. So I have to believe that he had every intention of doing the right thing. But in that moment, that was all that he could do, or else it could have been much worse. So we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. We have to believe in him. And we have to say, yeah, this is someone that cares about her. I truly believe that he does care about her. I would encourage everybody to lighten up on him, because he's just a guy that lives in LA that followed his dream. I don't think he's after her money. Once again, these are all of my opinions. This is what I think. This is what I feel. None of this is official. None of this is coming from Britney herself. This is just what I see, what I think and feel. So we're about out of time. If you have any comments, suggestions, rebuttals, please Instagram or tweet me at TevinJC. It's the same on all the handles. Please subscribe, follow, whatever. Hit whatever button's the closest to you. And we'll see you guys next time.